Hey everyone, it's Denise Brown from the Caregiving Years Training Academy. Soon after I launched my small business to support family caregivers, I was lucky enough to get a call from someone who would be my mentor. Mirca Liberti was someone who really was a pioneer in the caregiving space. She launched an organization called Children of Aging Parents in the mid 80s. And she was someone who did actually the talk show circuit to talk about family caregiver issues. She was on Sally Jesse Raphael's talk show, if you can remember who she was, years ago. So in 1996, I was about 18 months into my small business. She called me out of the blue and said, I like what you're doing. Let's connect. So the connection lasted for several years. And I would go out to visit her on the East Coast and stay in her home. And she would introduce me to people that she knew. And we would get in my car and she would tell me where to go. And we'd drive around her community and stop and visit family caregivers and connect to other healthcare professionals that she thought I should know. So I was lucky enough to have this time in the car to talk to her. And so I would say things that would immediately make her crazy because that's what happens when you're new to an industry. One of the first lessons I learned from her was not to use the term loved one when we're referring to someone for whom we care. And I remember specifically being in my little green Tercel driving, and she's sitting next to me. And I said, well, when you're caring for a loved one, and she just almost flew out of the car. She was just like, oh no, don't say loved one. Sometimes we care for someone in our family who's not a loved one. She said, say care recipient. So that's what I started using. I would talk about the family caregiver and the care recipient. When I would write about caregiving issues, I would write care recipient for the person receiving our care. So I used that term for about the next, 13, 14 years until someone who blogged for me, Donna Webb, actually commented on one of my blog posts and the term care recipient. She said, I get why we use this term, but I feel funny calling my mom care recipient. Can't we think of something else? And I said, we absolutely can. So we had a contest, and I asked people to submit suggestions about what term we could use instead of care recipient. And then I picked maybe the top 10, and then people voted. And as a result of the voting, we had a new term for care recipient, and that is Caree. So we adopted Caree in 2010. I think it was February of 2010. And when I first started using that word, I would use a descriptor in parentheses. I would say Caree is the person you're receiving your care. And I did that for a really short period of time. And then everybody started using Caree. So an online community that I had launched and managed for a period of about 24 years, we used that term over and over. And I rarely had someone question, who's the Caree? What was interesting is if I would post on social media about Caree, typically someone would say to me in a direct message or an email, they would say, you spelled career wrong. So they would think Caree was missing an R and that I was really trying to say career. And what was interesting is those people who usually said, I think you misspelled career, were not family caregivers. But those of us who care for a family member always knew what Caree meant. So I tell you this story because we can change the language of family caregiving. We don't have to always use the terms that someone else tells us. We can come up with our own descriptors for our own experience. And when we do, those new terms, those new descriptors are going to resonate with others in a similar situation. We can be empowered to use the words that are right for us. Okay, thanks so much for watching. I'm Denise Brown. Take care. Bye-bye.